All right, what's up, everybody? We're back with another GOAT Pyramid. It's me and Brandon again. Last time we did Melee GOAT Pyramid for players, basically who are the greatest players of all time. If you haven't watched that video, you actually should definitely check it out. I think it's some of the best content we've done. Well, this time around, we're doing the GOAT Pyramid for Melee tournament sets. In my opinion, much more difficult than making the GOAT Pyramid for players. Brandon, I don't know how you feel, just because, you know, with players, at least, like, you know, you kind of know what makes a great player. You're winning more. Win every tournament set, then you're a greater player than someone who, you know, goes 0-2 at a tournament, right? But when it comes to what we value in terms of like the greatest sets of all time, it's totally subjective. What I might think is the greatest set of all time is going to be completely different from maybe somebody who was around in like Ken and Isaiah's era, or like a Doc Kid, or someone who got into Melee over Slippy. Like, I think the character you play might influence it a lot. You know, if you're like a Marth player, maybe you have a lot of Mewtwo King sets, a lot of Zane sets, a lot of Ken sets. So, yeah, I think this was really challenging to make, but I think we got a pretty good, at least I feel like I got a pretty good list going. How do you feel, Brandon?
Yeah, I mean, I feel pretty solid about it. I mean, I did the best I could. I think we both have different lists, and I like that because, like, we've been making the list so far, but we haven't really, like, explained why we put the sets where we have them. And right. I think, too, with sets, it's just different because players, they're like whole entities, right? You think of their whole career to this point, whereas these are just isolated situations, so it's very hard to like rank which isolated situation is better than the other. Lore, what happened, quality of play, all these factors like change each set, so should be some fire stuff to go over.
So my tier 5, these are basically the sets that are the lowest on the pyramid, but they are in contention for some of the greatest sets of all time. So I've got, starting us off, Mewtwo King versus Armada at SmashCon 2018. I think this was Armada's last tournament, and Armada's tournament win. Mewtwo King was on fire that tournament. Ken Bomb Soldier from Jack Garden Tournament. It's just a legendary moment in time. It was the first time East met West. I will say, the historical moment to me is a little bit more memorable than maybe the set itself. That being said, I mean, Bomb Soldier was doing crazy Falco combos that America had never seen. Ken was doing chain grabs that Japan had never seen. Even though the gameplay maybe didn't age that well, like, I think it was a ridiculous set at the time, and it really blew everyone's mind. I've got Mango versus Plup from Summit 2. That was the one where Plup had Mango dead to rights. It was game 5 last stock, extremely close. Mango at high percent. And Mango hit the craziest combo on the side platforms of Stadium and killed him at like 90 with an up smash and just slumped back in his chair like, oh my god, I can't believe I did that. I got Jmook versus Cody at Genesis 8, breaking my own rule a little bit. This set was not close. Jmook kind of blew Cody out of the water. This is also extremely historical, right? Like, for this tournament, like, half that venue didn't know who Jmook was. And he got second to this tournament, beating Cody in a matchup that Cody's considered, at that time, to be like arguably his best matchup, Fox Sheik. And this guy, Jmook, comes out of nowhere and just destroys him. And the venue, it was just super lit. The venue got louder than they get for like Mango, which is like impossible. People are losing their fucking minds in that venue, and I think me and you were commentating it, so a little bit of icing on the cake. Another one that was not actually that close, it was a 2-0, and this set was not technically played on default Melee settings because it was played on 0.9, but I've got Silent Spectre versus Armada on here. The only time Armada's been upset by, I mean, maybe this is NorCal bias, but yeah, I mean, that set was ridiculous. The venue was losing their marbles. I got Cody versus Mewtwo King from Big House 9 on here. That was Mewtwo King coming out of nowhere. He was basically rusty and retired, and it was game 5 last dog, and he showed Cody why he's still the king. I got Plup versus HBox on game 5, or sorry, Genesis 5. It was game 5. And then lastly, I got Westballs versus Leffen from Beast. Losers, to me, is a more memorable set because Westballs, like, he went Samus for a game to like mess with Leffen's head. I mean, because they hit some real beef. And Westball's also hit that really crazy combo on Battlefield, like one of the most memorable Falco combos ever. Not many of these guys actually had beef with each other. And this set, there was actual hatred.
Solid tier 5, my friend.
All right, so my tier 5 consists of like 3 things: really close matches, really close, intense matches, upset of some sort, or body bags. There are a lot of body bags in this set. I love watching me a good body. You know, I need to see a couple of souls get taken away, a couple of ghosts flying there after a set. Starting off with Leffen versus Chillin'. I know it's tough.
Leffen Chillin'.
Love you, Chillin'. Get well. The lead up to that set was great. Chillin' Loki had the EP out on Leffen. That was a body bag. You know, it's just like iconic set though because of just everything that happened. It was a big thing at the time. The crazy thing was like that was only for like $100, but the publicity, I cannot say that word, behind that set was so, like, the marketing behind that was worth way more than $100. I got Mango versus Hacks Big House 4 because that shit is hilarious to me. Mango kind of half-assing winning the set, doing dumb stuff. Hacks being frustrated, tweeting about it. I got another body bag. Sorry, Otto. Love you. Axe versus Silent Wolf. Pikachu, FOD, Evo. Axe doing that. One of the first times people see Melee on a really big stage, and then you just see a Pikachu going in. Like, it was just big for the community at the time. Hacks versus Nintendo, straight body. Don't really need to say much about that. You watch the set. I love you, Mike. You got cooked, bro. Sauteed, filleted, bro. You just want how to destroy ICs in like 3 games. Just watch that set. I got Nun King from Gamo. You know, that was like Nun's breakout. Nun was always a good player, but I think that was when he like really started like pushing that top 20 echelon, and he did it in Toronto in front of all his homies and stuff, and I thought that was really cool. I got, you know, some Cali bias right here, Mango versus Silent Spectre. Why I put that on there was just because that was peak NorCal SoCal beef. Another close set that was an upset. I got Plup Armada from Big House. Plup always was the type of player, you know, he kind of would just, he's at this play a top player, but never beat Armada yet. Armada never really lost to him, and it was cool seeing Plup like finally get over that hump and like really made Sheik a problem for Armada for the rest of his career after that point. And then my last set in tier 5 was just a close set. It was a classic. The context behind it is why I find it hilarious. SCJ versus Ice, Shine 2017. Bro grabbed the chair right in front of me. Thought it was hilarious. It was hype. It was just like, I think shit like that is why people play the game. Like those hype moments that just get everybody in the game. Johnny was looking down and out, but he found a way to win that set. And yeah, it was just a dope moment. It was a dope moment. So yeah, I had to put that in my tier 5. But that is my tier 5.
Tier 4.
So tier 4, I'm gonna start off with PC Chris versus King at OC3. I got a lot of upsets in this one. A lot of like people's big tournament wins in this set. And why I picked this one is just because nobody really had PC winning at that point until it happened. You know, it was with King's, like, you know, dominance was just kind of everywhere at that point, and he was just kind of killing everybody in that tournament. I mean, he beat PC pretty solid too in winners finals, but I don't know, man. PC just came back blazing, man, and it was really dope to see. Wizzy Axe. People forget Axe had a little run. He got second at that Genesis. He was like looking like a top 3 player for a while, and I just thought it was cool to see Axe because I know he's always just stuck it out with Pikachu despite everybody telling him to switch, and like defying those odds I thought was really dope. So I got Wizzy Axe there. PPMD versus Armada, Apex. I just thought it was dope how PP, you know, we didn't know what he was up to. You know, he had the number 1, but it was like he wasn't really as active. And for him to come back and just handle it, man, he just did his thing, and I thought it was really dope. And I feel like that was like one of the last times you really seen those two play each other. The next set I got is Wizzy versus Hungrybox, Smash Splash Grand Finals. Wizzy winning a major with Captain Falcon that hadn't been done since like Isaiah, like 04, like at most or whatever. So I thought that was really cool. The next set I got is SFAT versus Hungrybox Press Start. I just thought this was hype. Both of them were a little dramatic, but I kind of like that. They're both standing up, hype. Hungrybox with the pop off, the extra camera angles. I just thought that was a hilarious set. Next, I got a lot of Hungrybox in this tier actually. Zane versus Hungrybox at Shine. I think that was another one where this was the beginning of a warpath that we were not ready for. That was more of a, instead of a loss for a Hungrybox, that was more of a stamp for Zane to like really, that was Zane's way of giving permission to himself to be the best player in the world. Like, in his play, at least, I felt like he seemed a lot more confident in his decision making. PewPew versus Hungrybox. For similar reasons. Like, I know Arc, the Mark player shot the Arc was doing pivot tippers, but I feel like that was the first time it was very seen on a big stage. When you see like a strategy that is used to this day from what PewPew did in a way that, like, you know, at the time Hungrybox never seen that. So he didn't know what to do, and I just thought that was cool. I felt like that was when you start seeing Punish game really get flushed out. In my tier 4, it's like how you have Bomb Soldier Ken. I kind of feel like that set in Mark Puff, just a lot of innovation. But yeah, those are my tier 4 sets.
Okay, so yeah, there's some crossover I think between mine and yours. I have Zane HBox Shine fully agree on that. I mean, that was definitely the start of Zane's domination. Pew Pew HBox, it's funny they're both Marth sets versus HBox. I feel like Pew Pew kind of paved the way for Zane to win, shine in a way, because, you know, before that set, the pivot tipper thing didn't exist. I think that's the best example of someone bringing new tech to the table. Finally, there was a reliable way to actually combo Jigglypuff and get a kill off of a grab, and that completely changed the matchup, you know, paved the way for Marth players to actually start being able to beat Jigglypuff. Okay, besides that, I've got Armada versus S2J, where Armada went down 0-2, and S2J had what could have potentially been a game-winning combo, but Armada put his plot armor on, and basically does what Armada does best, which is bringing us back down to earth. To me, it's like the most Armada set of all time. If I had to like describe to someone like what is Armada like as a player, it's like this is what Armada's like. He doesn't give up, and if you make the tiniest mistake against him, like you get punished hard. So I've got that, Zane HBox, Pew Pew HBox. I've got Jmook versus Zane from Gommel 2023. So this was pretty recent. 2022, sorry. To me, this was extremely significant because this was kind of Jmook's arc where he was solidifying himself as one of the best players. I think there were a lot of questions around how good Jmook would be at this point, because remember, this was like kind of pretty soon after Genesis. And it was like, all right, is Jmook the real deal, or was that kind of a fluke? And in 2 sets, both in winners and losers, if I'm not mistaken, Zane goes up 2-0, and then Jmook made a reverse comeback twice in the same tournament. So this is kind of 2 sets in one. Both those sets were ridiculous. Also, Jmook had a ridiculous pop-off. If we were doing the pop-off Pantheon list, I think Jmook's pop-off from the winner set would actually probably go in there. I've got Mango Armada from Royal Flush. That was just a really memorable Mango performance because, first of all, he had the cannonball after the set, where he hit the cannonball, and that shit got memed to death.
Right.
Game 5, I mean, also in an era, I think, where Mango wasn't necessarily performing the best, but this was one of those classic don't sleep on the kid moments where Mango had to show up and kind of remind us why he's still one of the greatest to ever do it. I've got None versus Mewtwo on here, so this is a probably just one of the most memorable upsets of all time. The first time a Falcon ever beat Mewtwo since I guess Isaiah. And then lastly on here, I actually have a very recent set. I think it's one of the best sets I've actually ever seen. Honestly, probably should be higher, to be perfectly honest. I think the only reason it's not higher is because it's not grand finals. Leffin versus Cody.
It just happened too.
It just happened. So yeah, it hasn't withstood the test of time yet, but to me, Leffen Cody LICS 5 it's a ridiculous set. Cody the clear favorite. So Leffen's a little rusty. He clearly looks like he's not playing at Cody's pace in the Fox Ditto, but Leffen basically dug deep and he did what he needed to do. And I mean, the last stock of the set is just one of the most crazy stocks I've ever seen.
That's a good pick. That's a good pick.
Tier 4.
Yeah, that was good. That was a good list.
All right, tier 3. There's only 5 sets in tier 3. But I just think they were very formative sets in a lot of ways. So first and foremost, grand finals, of course, Mango Mewtwo from Pound 3, where Mango had to beat Mewtwo like 4 gazillion times on Corneria. That matchup is impossible. Let me describe you how impossible that matchup is. I played Hungrybox and Friendlies for an hour at offseason this past weekend. We were playing on the offseason 2 rule set. So Corneria was legal, Mute City was legal. Now, first of all, every single time we got Mute City, I got 3-stock every time. Hungrybox on Mute City is actually unbeatable. It's the final boss in Melee. Nobody's beating Hungrybox on Mute City. It's literally impossible. Like, cannot be done. That shit, you could try it. It's not happening. Okay. But you know how bad Corneria is in that matchup? Hungrybox couldn't beat me with Corneria. Every single time we got Corneria, I mean, that matchup is that bad. Like, you've got one of the greatest players of all time, and you've got a washed-up commentator.
You know,
and like, and that matchup is actually that bad. And like, we're like laughing about it. We're like, dude, this stage is ass for Puff. I mean, I'm literally, I didn't even enter singles. I'm like not really in practice, and Hungrybox couldn't beat me on Corneria. We played there multiple times. Pinnacles of competitive play. One of the greatest players of all time, who's in contention for GOAT, and a commentator who plays Fox, and the commentator will win. Like, that's how bad that stage is. And Mewtwo was considered the best player in the world. Mango was the underdog, and Mango beat him on Corneria multiple times in Puff Fox. It's crazy. Okay, another set I got in tier 3 is Leffen Mango G4. Not grand finals, but these two have a lot of amazing sets. Honestly, probably more of them should be on here, but to me, this is like the best set they've played probably. And yeah, it wasn't even finals, but it was just an amazing set. Fox Falco, it's like the classic Melee matchup. I got Leffen versus Armada from Paragon 2015 on here. Also not grand finals. This was like the set, I mean, this was the set that kind of solidified to me Armada switching to Fox. It's one of the most memorable Fox dittos. I think even to this day, it's probably one of the best Fox Dittos. Like, they just didn't miss shit. I mean, it's just an amazing set, even though it's not grand finals.
Armada introducing his Armada Shines, and
Yeah.
that changed the matchup too.
The other two that I have on here are PPMD versus M2K at ROM 3. Technically, there's Dr. PP. PPMD winning one of his first, if not his first, majors over Mewtwo King. And, you know, this was, I'd say this era Mewtwo King was kind of the king of at least the East. But yeah, I mean, amazing set. It ends on Rainbow Cruise with the uppie off the top. Just a really, really dope set. And the other one I was going to name, of course, is PP versus Armada from Apex 2015. I mean, PP Armada have played a lot of really good sets. I could have put some other ones on here, like, for example, Pound 5. But PP Armada Apex 2015, to me, that was like the set that I think that got a lot of people invested in Melee. So that's my tier. Is it tier 3? Yeah, tier 3.
Yeah, that was good. That was a good list. My tier 3, again, no order. I'll use one that you just named, PP Mewtwo King ROM 3. Being watching it, and I thought it was such a good set. I think it was good because that set really, like, that tournament win for PP, like, solidified him as like one of the best in the world. Another set I got in my tier 3 is AMSA versus Mango, Big House. This past Big House, I think is pivotal because I always thought AMSA got hoed by just coming all the way from Japan, being insanely jet lagged, and he would still get 5th place, still get 4th place. And like, he had finally like just gotten to Canada and things were going good, and then he just immediately just wins the major, and he's beating Mango, beating Zane. Like, I mean, I was just real happy for him, and it was cool to see like Mango was playing good too. Like, you know, Mango was fighting back. It looked like Mango was going to reset, and AMSA kept it together. I just think it was cool to see a Yoshi win a major like that. To me, AMSA is one of the hardest working med players I've ever seen. So it was just cool to see.
I was going to say, I knew I forgot something. Honestly, whoever edits this, go ahead and put AMSA Mango in my tier 3 somehow too. Like, just squeeze in a 6th one. Because I knew I forgot something. There's something in there that I forgot. I was like, there's something I forgot. And it was, I should have looked at Brandon's list. Yeah, that 100% that should be at least in tier 3. Yeah. For all the reasons you said.
My next set, you had it earlier. I got it tier 3, S2J Armada. This set is fucking insane. And I think this set changes Melee if Johnny hit that knee. Like, I'm one, like, you know, it's like one of those what ifs, like you said. Like, I really believe that, like, shit would have been different if that shit landed, bro. A testament to how good Johnny was, but Armada's greatness too. It was like Armada willed that shit back, bro.
Yep.
It was fucking crazy, and that's like not a good matchup for Peach at all. That was good by Armada. Speaking of Armada, I got him on the other end of this one with Royal Flush. His Day Mangoes was like
Mother's Day Mango. Yeah, I should have mentioned that. Yeah, Mother's Day.
Yeah, this was when, like you said earlier, Armada was kind of, speaking of Royal Flush, he was pulling Mango's card. Like, he was getting those sets. Mango's kind of struggling. And, you know, Mango just came back, full force, losers run, and everything. It was just great to watch. Those two always have classics. I thought it was dope that, you know, they could still put on, like, that deep into the game for them, and they still put on classics like that. It was just a great set. Speaking of that, my last tier 3 is Zane versus Mango, the Big House. And I put this one, usually in no order, but I do put this one over Royal Flush. And this is straight up bias, but it's my list, so y'all can hold that shit. Literally, because he did that shit with Falco, bro. Straight up. I legitimately think that is more impressive than a loser's run with Fox.
Which
one? I said what I said. As a Falco player, dude. Yep. So for him to stick that shit out with the bird and win with fucking Falco, bro, every Falco was geeked for like 2 weeks, bro. Bro, when that shit happened, bro, I was beating every Marth I was playing. Every Falco, that was the pinnacle for Falco, bro. We don't get shit, you know, ever. So it was cool to just see that shit, man. It was cool to see, you know, Zane Mango have classics, but he always does that shit with Fox. Like, this one was like, okay, he fucking dug that shit out with Falco. So that's my number 1 in tier 3. That's bias, but that's why it's my list. So that's my tier 3. So tier 2 is like obviously the list gets shorter. So there's only 3 sets in this category. These 3 sets I have in no order. I got Armada versus HBox 2016. To this day, the best I've ever seen Hungrybox play. He showed out, man. I really thought he was gonna lose that shit. Found a way to do some clutch rest, and then he wasn't like, usually when Hungrybox loses, then he would just like go to the ledge, try to tilt his opponent, do little shit like that to like try to bring it back and like force an interaction. But it wasn't that, bro. I swear he just started playing. He was just spacing better. He was just picking spots better. He was like landing his punishes better. Like he just started playing better. I felt like he did get a little tense. I don't know, man. Hungrybox, I feel like that's the best I've ever seen him play. And I feel like Hungrybox, we always like look at Hungrybox in particular as a stepping stone for a good win. We'll be like, oh, the best sets of Hungrybox are all the ones that he's lost. Like, oh, when Mango that's a classic. It's always a great set with Hungrybox when he loses, right? But this one, it's like, nah, he won that shit, and he's just legit, to me, was the better player that day. And
he came from losers too.
Right, came from losers. Yeah, I just gotta, salute to him. I think, a lot of times I feel like he doesn't see that enough. Like, I think without Hungrybox, like, how you feel about him, without him, like, meta is drastically underdeveloped. The second one, Zayn versus Mango, Smash Summit 11. Watching that, it was like when Kobe dropped 60, bro. That's the equivalent for all my basketball heads. That's like when Kobe dropped 60. Mango, let's be real. Like, he had a point. He was kind of getting cooked during the pandemic. He was not really fucking with Zayn for real. You kind of entertain the thought, like, how long is he gonna keep playing? Like, is this like getting to the end? He's struggling, and my man just came back with a vengeance, bro. And it was just like, damn, this the old Mango. Like, something Zayn never seen before, and like, the fact that it was like the first tournament back since the pandemic, and just, the fact that Mango is the youngest player to ever win a major and the oldest player to ever win a major, it's just fucking crazy, bro. Just the longevity of his career. That set personifies it. And my last one in tier 2 is Armada Mutiki. I know you had that one in tier 5. I got that one in tier 2 because I feel like that is the pinnacle of those two players from what we know them for. And that was like the last time we really, really seen them show out at that level. That was a dope way to go for Armada. His career in particular, sometimes we talk about Mango, we talk about Hungrybox, but like I feel like we really overlook Armada's peaks, bro. Like, dude was so fucking consistent. And I feel like when you're that good, we just think of that as standard, not as like, that is fucking insane. No one is doing that shit. And Armada just doing that with Peach at a level that like I never thought could be done with Peach, and to do it that long and that dominant is just so impressive.
We've got some overlap for sure. First of all, the one where we see eye to eye on is Armada HBox. Well, I should say HBox Armada from EVO 2016. First of all, that was a very special moment for me. That was like my favorite tournament to commentate. It was in that crazy ass Mandalay Bay arena.
Oh yeah, you and Scar on the loudspeaker.
Yeah. I mean that arena, if I'm not mistaken, like Muhammad Ali's like fought in that place. It's like that's like a very historic. Crazy that we played tournament finals under that roof. Right. And yeah, HBox. I mean, the way he did it, like it was HBox. Like I think you put it very well. He was the hero. HBox was actually the hero that set. Like my peak moment from that set was when he actually reset the bracket. And then he gets up and he looks like he's in complete disbelief. Not to mention, to reset the bracket, I mean, HBox was down 1 stock to 2. Like, I mean, when we say clutch box, we're usually kind of half joking these days, but
that's where it stemmed from.
This is where it stemmed from. Yeah, it really is. I mean, this was, and like you said, he wasn't camping or nothing. I mean, this was just an amazing play. Yeah, he like reads a double jump, reads an air dodge, hits a really, really sick confirm into arrest. He doesn't even let him tech on the platform. Like he identifies really quickly, like, oh, I can go into arrest immediately. And like, if he's wrong, he loses the tournament. If you watch it, like the bracket reset, the way he does the bracket reset, I mean, it's just magical. I've got Mango versus Zayn from Big House 9 on here. You were talking it up in your tier 3. Yeah. I'll do you one better for all the Falcos out there. I'm putting my tier 2. I actually do think this was one of the absolute greatest sets of all time. I would have bet $10,000 towards the start of the grand finals. I was like, bro, Mango's not winning this. Like, like it was when the set started, it was looking like Zayn he looked so good, and he's coming from winners, and like, I mean, he was fucking Mango up, and he was fucking everybody up that weekend. And Mango goes all Falco, and like through the skin of his teeth, he clutches out the first set. And then the second set too, like, man, I mean, the way it happened was like, it was just ridiculous. There were so many moments where Mango could have lost. Yeah, it's one of the best game 10s that I think we've ever had in Melee. Some of the sets on my pyramid are there because they were memorable and historic. And then for some of the other sets, they're on there because the level of gameplay was really high. Some of the other sets, they're on there because it was really close. And like everyone's like, oh my God, what's gonna happen? This set had it all. Like it had all of it. It had the drama, level of play was really high. It was historic. It was the start of the Mango Zane rivalry. This, to me, Mango Armada was the greatest rivalry in Melee of all time, and this set dethroned that rivalry. And then rounding out my tier 2, I actually have, but for me, I put Armada Mango Genesis 1 in tier 2. Now that being said, honestly, it's probably some of the strongest emotions I've ever felt watching a set. I remember I literally lost my voice that weekend, and when I had to go back to school like the next day, I was like, I couldn't talk, and it's kind of funny because I was cheering for Mango so hard. Personally, this might even be the number 1. They're so interchangeable. I decided to go with Armada Genesis 1, Armada Mango Genesis 1 as the second greatest set of all time, but they're like honestly kind of on the same level. But I mean, you know, there's so much you could say about this set. I mean, Armada traveling across the ocean. I'm gonna let you talk about it a little more when we do our tier 1s, just because I think this is the one you got in your tier 1. But yeah, I mean, like this never happens in Melee, right? Like someone comes out of nowhere. Like this is why I put J-Mook versus Cody so high, where I think it's incredibly rare that someone just comes out of nowhere and either wins Genesis or almost wins Genesis. In both cases, almost wins Genesis, gets second. Like, I mean, it never happens. Like Melee's such a hard game that if someone's getting good, you usually find out. You don't go from like not top 8ing majors to like almost winning a super major, getting second. The way Armada did it, where all of Europe was talking him up, he came across the ocean, and that whole weekend was like a warpath for Armada, from beating Kage in crew battles to beating Lucky game 3, beating Shizwiz game 3, beating Mewtwo game 3. Every single time, all of the naysayers, myself included, were like, nah, I mean, this is probably the end of the run. Like, Lucky's gonna beat him, Shizwiz is gonna beat him, Mewtwo King for sure is gonna beat him. But he like blew through all those players, and then he won winners finals over Mango. I mean, I know that we're doing sets, but for me, it's really the entire run. It's the fact that he beat all those players, and then he actually even beat Mango in winners over the Falco, and then Mango had to go Puff, and of course hit 2 of the greatest rests of all time to reset the bracket and then to eventually clutch the tournament out. The only reason I didn't really put this at number 1, I think the tiebreaker for me was like, I guess the way it ended was a little anticlimactic. Like, it wasn't game 5. You know, by the end, Mango kind of had him figured out, and Armada tried to go Fox, and the Fox was kind of a wash. So to me, like, at the end of the day, like, I mean, spoiler. In tier 1, I got Zane Mango Summon 11. Okay, you already talked about it. To me, the fact that one was a nail biter, and like at the bitter end, it was just like, you know, like Mango hits it and pops off, and Zane like slips back in his chair, and it's like dramatic until the very last moment. Versus like Armada Mango, like I was popping off. Don't get me wrong, I was yelling and screaming, but at the end of the day, like the one thing that set lacks is that the ending wasn't that climactic. Like the ending was kind of like, all right, Mango beat him. Like, all right, it's kind of like the victory lap. It's like, all right, cool, Mango got his ass. So it's like the whole movie, both movies are fire, but this movie had a better ending, so I put that one in tier 1. That's kind of where I'm at.
No, yeah, I mean that's a valid reason. I got Mango Armada Genesis 1 as my tier 1 best set ever. So I said arguably Armada Mewtwo King because Mango Armada exists. I just think that the fact that I don't know what's more impressive to this day, the fact that came out of literally nowhere and just had Mango on the ropes, or the fact that Mango, he just found a way. It's kind of like Summon 11. Like they're very similar in that regard, but I think the biggest difference is Mango's opponent. And why I say that is because Zane is kind of going into Summon 11. Zane was definitely the favorite. Going into Genesis 1, Mango was definitely the favorite. Like nobody thought Armada would get that far, let alone be damn near pixels away from winning the tournament. And I also think why I have this one number 1 is because I think if Zane were to win Summit 11, I think a lot of things would still be similar. That would have been a great set, but I don't think much would have changed. I think if Armada wins that tournament, mad shit changes. Some butterfly effect type shit. Like, we don't know who's going to be playing who. We don't know who's going to be maining who. Like, I think that's one of those, like, SCJ type situations. Like, I think really that was way more important for Melee than the other one. I like Zane and Mango, to me, personifies Mango's career more so. I think Mango Armada personifies like the state of the game at that time and where it was and like what it became. And I think like we really needed that shit at that time. We needed a set like that at that time. But it did end kind of anticlimactic, but I just think Armada's run, channeled with Mango's ability to come back, created this like storm of just like momentum for the game that I don't know if Mango and Zane viewed it as the way it is if that didn't happen the way it happened.
Melee's fine without a lot of these other sets, but Melee arguably is not fine without those sets. Without those sets, like who knows? Who knows if Brawl just takes over in the United States and everywhere else? So no, I'm with you there.
Tier 1 and 2 will stand the test of time.
Very close, yeah.
I mean, the dope part about this Toph is there's gonna be more sets that I'm sure down the line, if we have this conversation in 2030, I'm sure one of these sets are gonna get knocked off that list.
Yeah, something's gonna get dethroned for sure. I mean, there's a lot of really old sets that we wanted to put on here, like Ken versus Isaiah from Most, like Azin versus Ken from MLG. Ken versus PC. I didn't have that on mine. Yeah, and there's a lot of really great old sets that as time marches on, like don't hold up as well, or they get kind of dethroned with the new generation who didn't even watch all those sets. So a lot changes, as time goes on, and that's kind of the crazy thing about it.
I'm very curious, man. Like, I'm very curious to see what Melee is gonna look like when I'm in my 40s. What is the game gonna look like? Who's gonna be the top dogs? I think it's just dope to look at. But this list for now is like, it's just cool to look back on these moments, and these moments not only like influence the game. I mean, it changed people's lives, man. The players, crowd, like giving everybody motivation to play, just follow it. The game grew because of it, and it just shows you when you have people that are all, when they care about shit, dope things happen. People do dope shit. So, I feel like all these sets like represent that. All right, y'all, let us know what you think about our pyramids. Did we get stuff right? Did we get something wrong? Did we miss stuff? All comments are appreciated, man. Any opinions you guys have, we would love to read them. But again, Melee set GOAT pyramid. Again, like, subscribe. If you guys like this content, you can follow us at GG Melee, at Toph BBQ, at Young Waff. And man, you guys be safe out there and have a good one. Thank you for watching. Peace.